CHGO White Sox post-game show coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. It is the CHGO White Sox crew. Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. How many times can I say CHGO? You could read his work at allchgo.com. The man in the middle, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We're 6 followers away from 6,000. So if you haven't followed us yet on Twitter, how many times I've said the damn tag, please go follow us. We appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up button too if you haven't already, and hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you are new here. The CHGO Sports YouTube channel is bringing you coverage for not only the White Sox, but the Cubs, the Bulls, the Blackhawks, Bears, the Sky, the Red Stars in the Sky. I think
Fire.
Said
Fire.
Sky twice.
There it is.
Yeah.
The Fire. Any other teams?
At the moment, no.
Chris Pennant, I think, did Chicago Union coverage, so a little bit of rugby too.
Wow. How
So,
about that?
I mean, hey, we got you covered. We're coming to you live after a White Sox loss. They lose 10-2 in Arlington to the Rangers. They have lost 10 straight games. They are 0-6 after the All-Star break, and this is their second 10-plus game losing streak of the year. They also had the 14-game losing streak back in, what was that, June?
I don't remember.
When
It's a
did they
franchise
play?
record, I can tell you that much.
When they played Boston. So what do we take looking at this team that is now 50 games under 500? I know that we've talked a lot about worst team in baseball, but we're getting there. We're getting closer each and every single day. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like kind of Neil Armstrong. Was he the first guy out of the atmosphere?
He was
no,
first guy
he was
on
the
the
first
moon.
man on the moon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe Neil Armstrong as he approached the moon. You know, maybe that's how I feel. Each and every minute, each and every hour, we're getting closer and closer to history. Do we have that drop? Do we have the Panther growl?
We do.
Okay.
I feel like more like Mike Collins. The guy who had to just stay on the vessel while Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin had to go out there and have fun. Because I'm seeing all the rest of the teams in the AL Central doing well. And the White Sox just got to stay in that goddamn vessel and watch other teams that were supposed to be bad alongside us, not bad anymore. I mean, Cleveland's shooting for the moon. Damn Twins are great.
Herb salvaged this analogy, by the way.
I hate it.
This analogy, you were spiraling on that moon analogy, and he brought it back.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Rest in peace, Michael Collins.
Yeah, maybe we're not. Apollo is at 13. Maybe we're more like the Challenger mission.
He was 11.
Okay. Were you watching that in school?
I don't think
You
so.
seem like you're that old.
I am that old. It was right after the Bears Super Bowl, so I don't remember. Other people remember them getting taken out of school and watch it live. Luckily I did not watch that live, but I did see it.
All right, 27-77, the White Sox fall. I guess we are Mike Collinsing this White Sox team. Do you feel like this is history? Do you feel like, we're not close enough? Is this still July baseball?
I haven't checked the math. I don't know if the pace is any different than it was when we hit the All-Star break, but
I think they're now 26 games away from being eliminated.
From the playoffs?
Yeah.
From existence.
Because on Reddit, they hate us on Reddit, by the way. Oh, they hate us on Reddit.
That's fine.
Us three?
Oh, yeah. They hate
What did
us
we
on
do to
Reddit.
Reddit?
I don't know. They hate us on Reddit. But they're sharing each and every day. Yesterday was Lucas. So I'm assuming, today would be
by jersey number.
Avi, yeah. So
Corey Lee.
Yeah.
Hey, they hate us, but they're watching or listening. Congratulations, guys. Thanks.
To history.
It's positivity.
They're listening to history.
Hey, man, they're not talking negative about people they're not watching. So thank you, people on Reddit. Really appreciate you watching. But Yeah, it's history because this team is going to get worse than they are currently constituted, with most of these, well, about 6 or 7 of these players at least off of this team by next Tuesday. So I would think that they would be definitely worse than they are in August and September than they're currently going in July, which is a 10-game losing streak. And I don't think the schedule softens up until they play a couple weeks from now in Oakland. They're playing a lot of teams that are competing for playoff spots, including this weekend where they go back home and play the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, wasn't the 39-game stretch the hard part? Yeah, I mean, they got Seattle after Texas. They got Kansas City, which the AL Central has just killed the White Sox. Speaking of the AL Central, after Kansas City, it's Minnesota. You do have Oakland, and hey, the Cubs probably won't be that good, or come August. But then the Yankees are fairly decent. Houston will likely add at the deadline. I don't know. Is San Francisco good? But
I mean, most of the damn NL is in the playoff hunt.
You got Texas again, the Mets again. You got Baltimore again, Boston. You got Cleveland.
Bad.
The White Sox usually lose to bad teams as well because they're the worst team in Major League Baseball. I did have some stats, at least to put this into context. Teams with 2 10-plus game losing streaks in the same season since 2005. The 2021 Cubs, the 2021 Baltimore Orioles, the 2021 Arizona Diamondbacks, the 2008 Washington Nationals, and the 2006 Kansas City Royals, along with your 2024 Chicago White Sox. There are teams that have had 3 10-game losing streaks. I think the White Sox can possibly be in this territory. The 1960s Mets had one wild ride, I think, as you put it. Not only did they have the Miracle Mets in 1969, but also 1965, they had 3 10-game losing streaks in the same season from, what is the 6th month of the June 5th to June 13th, 10 losses, July 7th to July 20th, 10 losses, and August 1st to August 13th, 11 losses. And then the 1962 Mets also had 3 10-game losing streaks. They lost 17 from May 21st to June 6th, where they lost a doubleheader on June 6th, giving them 17 losses. They lost the second half of a doubleheader on July 15th, and then lost 11 games until July 26th. And then August 9th to August 21st, the first half of a doubleheader, they lost 13 games. So the White Sox could be in 1960s Mets territory, which isn't good because I think if you date back since 1961, the 1961 Mets have the worst record of all time. So
62. And that's the first Mets team ever. And yeah, that is the record, the modern record for losses in a single season with 120, which is the number obviously everybody is looking at with this White Sox team.
Is that where we're headed?
And to put, well, before we go to there, to put the Herbie Sunshine hat on, you talked about those 321 teams where they lost multiple 10-game losing streaks. 2 years after that, 2 of those 3 teams were in the playoffs. Baltimore Orioles and the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Cubs missed it by a game. So if you want to be very positive about it, 2 more years from now, White Sox would be in the playoffs, guys.
Okay.
Or just miss it by a game like the Cubs.
Let's go, Herbie Sunshine. We appreciate that.
But yes, they're barreling towards 120 and gonna go right past that sumbitch. Right past it. They have 58 more games. 16, I think, Vinny, is the number you said it was. They have to win to avoid that.
Yeah, and that they've played 6 and haven't won any of them, so
with their current
fewer chances.
Yeah.
With their current win-loss percentage, they're going to win 42 games, and the Mets team is 62-140. So I think they would.
That would tie the loss record. So those two, obviously, that Mets team played 2 fewer games.
That's a great point.
So yeah, the loss record would be tied there. Yeah.
As I showed on yesterday's episode, math isn't the Southside Irish forte. So,
well, to lead off the show then with just a whole bunch of math was a challenge.
Fair point. All right, hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us. We do see some fairly new names as well. Shout out to Eric, Matt, Gohan as well, along with Fred and Husky Bardo. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Sarah, are we at the 15-minute mark now? 10. Okay. All right, cool. I thought we started at 45.
No,
so, then I saw
more math.
More White Sox baseball. I guess there's one positive thing of today's game. Luis Robert hit his 10th homer since returning on June 4th. I think now he has 12 on the year. It was a missile of a home run, 113 miles per hour. I think that is now his 6th homer, double, or triple that was over 113 miles per hour. Again, just showcasing the type of talent that he has. Is it oasis in a desert, Luis Robert Jr.? Is it kind of like maybe I-90 where there's a couple oases in Luis Robert Jr., Eric Fetty, Garrett Crochet?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Crochet and Fetty, I think, have been far and away the two best players on this team this year, and not just relative to their teammates, but relative to the rest of the league. They've been fantastic. Luis Robert Jr. is that guy who has that talent that could make him as elite, in my opinion, as just about any other player in baseball. Of course, the health has gotten in the way in many of the seasons of his career, including this one with basically a 2-month absence there early on in the season. But he's showing you glimpses, right? I mean, obviously, his numbers are not going to be anywhere close to what they were a year ago. That big extended injury absence really prevented that. But he's giving you, and teams around baseball, not that they forgot, but he's showing teams around baseball that might be considering trading for him what he can do as well. And, the phrase, carries a team gets thrown around a lot. It's kind of hard to be the guy who carries a team that never wins, I guess, so to speak. But he is showing that he is still has that elite talent in there. We've talked a lot about how he's been able to get on base a little bit more than he did a year ago, how he's been able to steal a little bit more bases than he did a year ago and show off that speed. Obviously, the defense remains overly impressive in center field, so the power keeps coming as well. That's a lot of tools right there that stack up in a hurry, and I don't think that it's going to be easy for any team to come up with the prospect haul that Chris Getz is looking for to pull that trade off here in the next week, but he's certainly showing why that asking price is so high. And, as he's got 3 years of control after this one left on that contract, it's a very, very attractive player, probably for basically every team across baseball, and the White Sox are probably included in that list.
And today and yesterday, you got some injuries from teams that are competing, like the Milwaukee Brewers with Christian Yelich being out, the left fielder there, one of their best players, going to be out for an extended period of time, might be for the year. So that's another team that it's available for Luis Robert to go to. And the Seattle Mariners, now with J.P. Crawford out and Julio Rodriguez is going to be out for a little bit, both needing some players, and Julio Rodriguez and J.P. Crawford being out. They just got caught by the Houston Astros as far as the AL West, and we just saw what the Texas Rangers are doing, winning 3 in a row. They're probably going to need to push the pedal down to try to get this thing over the top and go into the playoffs again for the Seattle Mariners, and that their GM is going to be as active as anything. So I don't want Luis Robert to leave. But I think the White Sox could be in the catbird seat as far as more teams available to trade with, and teams that you want to trade with, like the Seattle Mariners, much less the Milwaukee Brewers, because I looked at their prospects and I was like, I don't think they have what the White Sox would want or covet.
Yeah, and I don't think the Brewers are crazy enough. I mean, again, I think really the Mariners and Padres have proven to be the psychos of Major League Baseball general managers. Maybe LA, but John Heyman, and we'll talk a little bit about his reporting or live chat today because some of it was relevant. He doesn't think Robert will be dealt, and that's mainly what we've heard this entire offseason. You could read Vinny's updated and continually updated trade rumor piece up at allchgo.com. Always updating and giving you analysis as well. But people in the chat also saying, again, like the record is what, 40 and 120 and 1, because there was a tie for Casey Stengel's 1962 Mets. But I really do think that, especially with as many rookies and just green people that will be starting for the White Sox in August and September, Brian Bannister we played yesterday, and you can watch the full on our YouTube page. I mean, we could see some rookies, like maybe even Noah Schultz, get some experience in the bullpen. I don't know if we need to see like Noah Schultz in a high leverage situation, but we might. I don't know. This team has a lot of blown saves already, and I think they're probably just going to add on to that total, and I think the loss total is just going to add on. I think we could see a sub 40 win team. I really do think that there is no silver lining to this team. Let's take a break. Herb, tell us about Circa.
At Circa, games will strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports Menu app, unlike other sports books, which may use a -115 or -120 splits. Circa Sports keep as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to other books. And Circa Sports does not limit winning players based upon their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. We encourage bettors to download and explore all sporting bet apps available, compare lines from each sports book, and then go to Circa Sportsbook because you know they're going to have a competitive, if not the lowest, number there for you. There are real people at Circa Sportsbook behind the brand that resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike the other sports books that use chatbots, which are annoying. All aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook. It's Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Download the Circa Sports app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events like tailgates and watch parties. They're with us on the Cubs, the CHGO Cubs Friday 120 clubs. And if you or somebody has a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
Thank you, Herb. And if you are looking for a new car, make Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram your #1 draft pick this summer to find the perfect new car for you. This July, shop a wider selection of vehicles at Ray, CDJR, and score new, lower prices across their huge inventory during the Make This the Summer sales event. For a limited time, lease the new 2024 Jeep Compass Latitude Luxe for only $189 a month, or shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. Let the amazing team at Ray CDJR help you land the perfect vehicle at the perfect price, because with Ray's Price Promise, the numbers you're hearing right now are the same prices you can expect to shop in-store and online. That's because Ray's Price Promise means no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, because they are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or visit raycdjr.com, serving the community since 1963. I want to look up, and I will have this information soon, the worst win-loss record over the first 104 games of a team's season since 1962. We'll see if they are on pace with Casey Stengel's Mets, so I will have that as fast as StatHead's play index loads. So, or, not everything, even when you have fiber internet, is just at the snap of a finger. So, modern technology. Anyways, with Chris Flexen on the mound, he's not really an eye-popping trade target. You're not going to see a lot of headlines, article headlines by Chris Flexen drawing interest from Pirates, right? But I do think that Chris Flexen will be traded. Am I wrong on this? Sarah flashing the lines for today's starting pitcher, Nathan Eovaldi, 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 10 Ks, 0 walks. Is that good?
Great. Yes.
Chris Flexen, 4 2/3, 3 earned runs, 7 hits, 3 Ks, 2 walks. Is that good?
It's not as good, certainly, but listen, I don't think anybody would look at that line or have watched Chris Flexen tonight and said, oh boy, what a great performance. That being said, he had no business almost finishing the 5th inning, and he almost did. He, quote-unquote, only gave up 3 runs, which is not, the worst. Certainly not as bad as what Jared Schuster did in the 8th inning when he gave up 6. So your idea that could Chris Flexen get traded and be a starting pitcher for someone, yeah, why not? I mean, he's kind of shown a knack to get halfway through a game. It might not be the guy that you put at the top of your rotation, but you're going to have a 5-man rotation at least over the next 2 months if you're a contending team. Again, I don't think, and he's making so little money too that you can trade for him. You can throw a prospect the White Sox way that is not a terribly heralded guy, and if Chris Flexen doesn't work out for you for the next 3-4 weeks, you just DFA him, and what's the harm there? So yeah, I would imagine that he would get traded. But again, whether it's Chris Flexen or some of the other guys we're going to talk about who aren't Crochet and Robert, whether they're DeYoung or Lopez on the infield, Tommy Pham, some of the other pitchers, Eric Fetty might be a little bit of a different story because he has been that good. But don't expect any sort of return that's going to make White Sox fans jump for joy. If Chris Getz can pull off something for any of those guys like he did with the guy who homered tonight in the 8th inning, Robbie Grossman, when he traded him earlier in the season, well then bravo, right? Because that seemed like a job well done at the time. Those are the kind of wins, I guess, that you would be looking at for these types of players, I think. I don't think you need to, familiarize yourself with the top 100 list when it comes to these guys. So, but anything helps in the situation that Chris Getz and the White Sox are in, trying to get as much talent into that minor league system as possible. I mean, hey, you look at the guy who's been starting on the infield the last few days for the White Sox and Brooks Baldwin. That's not a guy who is, up there with among the most touted prospects in baseball. But if he turns into anything, even a bench player, right, that's a win for the White Sox. Who knows if he will? He could be up here just because that's where the White Sox are, and that's the kind of players that are going to get opportunities. But it's going to be lower level, lower name guys that are going to be going back to the White Sox in a lot of these other trades that aren't the blockbuster names that we do keep talking about.
Yeah, and Chris Flexen is no great shakes. He's got a mid-5 ERA, but some team, as Vinny was talking about, will acquire about him and want to get him. And as you said, it'll be something that is very low, that you got a Dominican player in the Dominican League or a guy who just got drafted in the 50th round or something like that, and you'll get him back. And so it won't be in great shakes, but there's no reason after Tuesday to have Chris Flexen on your team because he's not that good. He's not particularly young. And I don't think he signed after this year. So bye. But he does do something where Vinny was talking about today. Like, he had a struggle, I think 50-plus pitches after the 2nd inning and got through into the 5th inning. So they didn't have to use the bullpen as much as they had to yesterday, where Garrett Crochet left after the 4th. He gave them 2 more outs into the 5th inning. So there's a value to what Chris Flexen does. It's very low, but major league teams would look for that for a fifth starter.
I mean, he can go through an order once in 171 plate appearances before today's game. In the first plate appearances of a game as a starter, batters have a 203 average, 253 on base percentage, and a 354 slugging percentage. You have crazy arms in Pittsburgh like Paul Skeens and Jared Jones, right? So what else looks great in that rotation? Chris Flexen.
You're really trying to put Chris Flexen on the Pirates.
I don't know. I had a vision, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if it was a certain moon. I know there was a strawberry moon, but I think that was a couple months ago. I don't know if it's like the strawberry moon just infecting my brain, but I had a very vivid dream of Chris Flexen in a Pirates uniform. I don't know, maybe
that's what you're dreaming about?
Maybe this is the
people dream about like having superpowers, and you're dreaming about Chris Flexen being on the Pirates?
Sorry, I'm not lucid dreaming and like controlling my dreams. Yeah, I'm honestly just being affected by this, but I don't know. Maybe it's a little Vince Velasquez-y. I'm getting a Vince Velasquez vibe from Chris Flexen.
I feel like I'm watching. You remember Miss Cleo? Herb?
Yes. Call me now.
Call me now. I feel like I'm watching the baseball equivalent of Miss Cleo over here. I'm getting a Vince Velasquez reading on Chris Flexen. I'm getting Chris Flexen is going to the Pirates. I can see it now.
You laughed at this, but Bally's pulled out of Minnesota, and I mean that $1.5 million. That's not that much. It's not a lot of money, and Chris Flexen can go through the order once for the Minnesota Twins. I'm seeing Miss Cleo seeing Twins or Pirates. Anyways, you guys got any Miss Cleo feelings about Chris Flexen, where he's going to end up going, or he's just going to get traded for a Dominican player, as you said, Herb?
Dominican League player, something like that. It won't be anything great shakes where you're like, oh man, I can't believe the White Sox got that guy for Chris Flexen. It'll be something very negligible.
I mean, how many minor leaguers can people name off their top of their head? Like, I know I can because our job is baseball, but like people watching, our casual fans, we also have our diehard fans. Like, truly, just think to yourself, how many minor leaguers can you name? Can you name 20 minor league baseball players that are currently
where is
in the
this
minor
going?
leagues? No, I'm just saying, like Herb mentioned, like, it's going to be a Dominican player that you don't know.
Right.
I think if they pick up, a starting pitcher from the Texas Rangers who's in Double-A, we didn't know our guy Bubba Hoopy Tua and Toa before that Robbie Grossman trade.
Still don't know.
And well, yeah, but I mean he's looking pretty good.
But I think the idea being that whenever a prospect gets traded back to your team, you instantly go and read. You go. Let's say they trade with the Pirates. You're going to go to the Pirates top 30 page on MLB.com, and you're going to look to see if that guy's on it. And when he's not, you're going to go, he's a single A pitcher who has pitched for the Pirates low A affiliate this year, and here's what he did.
27 years old.
But you cannot add the context of he is their number 21 ranked prospect. That would seem to me to be, that's a player of note, at least in the relative world of the Pirates minor league system. Obviously, we're using them as Sean's favorite example here. But I think the difference between getting someone like that, where you can say, hey, they're ranked. Hey, here's an instant way to let you know that this is a player who is well thought of, right? Versus here's some guy that is down in the minor leagues. That's the difference. And I think the latter is probably what you're going to see with a lot of these guys, your Flexens, DeYoungs, Brebbias, Lopez's, Phams, those kind of trades that the White Sox probably will make here over the next week.
Well, and you questioned, the Cardinals, I think they were brought up in the Eric Fetty stuff, and you were just wondering, are they really in a position to add? And I think, we've heard that there might be contender to contender trades this year. And I mean, you even look at the team like the Diamondbacks who are behind the Cardinals. They're 11.5 out. Diamondbacks just went to the World Series. I think they're definitely a team that's just going to think, we're just going to try to get in. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of these teams are just going to think, we just have to have the best 2 months to end the year.
Absolutely. I think the point that I was making when it comes to that kind of team is how much are they willing to give up? And when we're talking about a trade for a Crochet or a Robert or to a lesser degree Fetty, are those teams who are crossing their fingers and hoping to get in. Yeah, they absolutely have a shot at winning the World Series. There's no doubt about it. But are they going to be like, this is our time, this is our moment, here are all our prospects, we need that guy to win this year? That, to me, is a Dodgers move, a Yankees move. It's not even really an Orioles move, considering the runway that they would seem to have and the future that they would seem to have. It should be, because they're that caliber of team. But it's the teams who have already made such commitments and such, and made the moves to try to position themselves like that, who need to double down, right? Because their future is not as bright as Baltimore's, or their future is maybe not as secure as Baltimore's, right? The Dodgers are their own story because they kind of always are there. But that's what I was questioning. If you're the Cardinals, right, and you're just kind of on the fringe here, obviously they're in a playoff position at the moment, but if you don't know that you're going to get there, you're just hoping to get in, do you say, all right, here's 3 of our top 4 guys for Garrett Crochet, or do you say, here's one of our guys that we were hoping 3 years from now is a cornerstone of our major league team, but we're going to give him to you for Fetty because we want to win right now? Are they in that position? And that's what I'm wondering about a lot of those NL teams, and even a couple of the AL ones too.
Yeah, and I'm thinking also, more I think about it, and with these teams, Garrett Crochet, yes, is the better pitcher than Eric Fetty, but it's not that of a big difference as far as how they've done this year. And a team acquiring either one of those pitchers would be wanting more certainty. And Fetty provides the certainty that those teams would be wanting. Both his money is exactly what they know. They know what his money is going to be. And he's started for the last 7 years of his career, even in Korea. So they know that they're going to get a starting pitcher, even if he's a middle of the rotation guy. And if you're acquiring Garrett Crochet, you don't know if you're getting a top of the rotation guy or a back end of the bullpen guy this year. But then next year, you can turn him into a top of the rotation guy. So that's why I'm thinking that Fetty would be more coveted by teams this trade deadline than Garrett Crochet because of the certainty.
We got more trade talk in just a second, but I talked about dreaming of Pittsburgh. But Vinny, do you know what I also dream of?
I'm hoping that it's Wisconsin.
You bet your bottom dollar it is, or whatever that
was it.
Phrase is. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're an old man.
Let's go.
You know your old
Let's go
cliches.
play dice. You do dominoes. You want to go play
Tiddlywinks.
They play chess. Usually old men.
Quarters. I don't know.
Jacks.
We could do what Mike Jordan and Gus was doing in Last Dance, throwing a quarter off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Are you ready for the ad read?
Oh, hell yeah.
Rolling bones.
The fine folks at Leinenkugels have created the perfect beverage for summertime drinking. That's Summer Shandy, of course. It's a wonderful flavor combination of lemonade and the beer that we just absolutely love and is fantastic for anything you might be doing out in the wonderful summer weather. How about the temperature today was very nice. You could go over by the lake and have yourself a picnic. What are you bringing with you? Some Summer Shandy. You could go down to the right and have yourself a tailgate. What are you bringing with you? Some Summer Shandy. Maybe you're going all the way up to Wisconsin, paddling around in the great North Woods. What are you going to want with you? Some Summer Shandy, because it's summertime. It's what you drink in the summertime. But no matter what time of year it is, Leinenkugels has something for you. So many great varieties. We love the honey vice. We love the berry vice. Herb's always drinking that lakeside cherry. What do you got today? Some peachy thing, right? You were drinking earlier. The juicy peach.
Yeah.
That's the one. I like going up to Wisconsin, getting the Liney's Original. There's an endless roster of choices you could choose from. Just go down to the liquor store, to the Jewel, see what they got. If it says Leinenkugels on it, it's going to be good. Flavor life's simple moments with Leinenkugels, the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Liney.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO. Or pick up Leinenkugels pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Leinenkugels, flavor the moment, celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls.
Yes. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary are here to elevate your summer. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains. You could choose from your indicas, your sativas, your hybrids, your indica hybrids, your sativa hybrids. You could ask their trained staff about what all that means. I don't know, but I'm just reading. To choose from all of those different selections with an easy online ordering or in-store pickup. Also, wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. So stop into the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff or select from quality lines like Cresco or Floracal. And here from the summer is the Good News Tea Time Disposable Vape, bringing classic lemonade flavor that's perfect for the golf course because we all need a little help staying loose on the green. We're going to go pick up some Simply Herb, because he is he's Simply Herb, or the other way around. I'll pick up some Simply Herb because you're Simply Herb.
Correct.
At Sunnyside. You can too by visiting sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. We've talked a lot about Luis Robert Jr. and Garrett Crochet and even Eric Fetty's trade market. Just to give some updates, John Heyman had a live chat today, some highlights from that. He does think that Garrett Crochet is a favorite to be dealt, most likely to the Los Angeles Dodgers. He doesn't think that Luis Robert Jr. will get dealt. Paul DeJong is probably going to be playing third base for the Yankees. The White Sox are, quote, really unhappy with offers for Eric Fetty, and he is still hearing, this is John Heyman, still hearing that the Yankees are not willing up to give Spencer Jones for Crochet. So at least going back to my, point yesterday, why, isn't Garrett Crochet a Yankee if they're willing to give up Spencer Jones? Well, I guess they're not. So that answers that question.
Well, again, it's conflicting reports, as they like to say, right? And I think, these national guys are certainly very plugged in, but it's what they're hearing at any given moment on any given day. And we heard on Sunday from Bob Nightingale that Spencer Jones would be somebody who the Yankees would throw into a trade. We heard today from Ken Rosenthal that the White Sox might be more likely to hang on to Garrett Crochet and perhaps see what the trade market looks like in the offseason. So this stuff is going to roller coaster up and down and change, and you're going to see things contradicting the other from now until we hit that trade deadline next Tuesday. But something's got to start happening because it's just a handful of days away, and we really haven't seen anything in the name of in when it comes to trades yet across baseball, not just with the White Sox, but across baseball.
I'm just thinking, what will it take? Will it just take one to have the dam be open and broke open? Just one trade, tomorrow, hopefully they'll get a trade done because it's on Tuesday. And like I said before, it is a bunch of people that have to go from this team. And as some people say in the chat, like, will the Sox be stuck with a bunch of these guys? Like, having Fetty after the trade deadline, I don't think is a bad thing necessarily. Having Flexen on the team after the trade deadline, or other players like Pham, it doesn't make any sense. Or Paul DeJong. So I think those guys that have no future after this year for the White Sox will definitely be traded at the end of the day, because firstly, they don't have a lot of value. And then secondly, there's no reason for them to be on the team, and the White Sox would DFA him anyways after the trade deadline if they're not going to get anything for him.
To help you out, could I give you a Chris Getz quote?
You can.
All right, Daryl Van Schouwen is in Texas, and he talked to Chris Getz today. Quote, Chris Getz, I feel the market has come alive in the last couple of days where the conversations have been more meaningful in the last couple of weeks. It's tough to say when some of these trades will be executed, but I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing some Thursday, but I know most of these deals will probably get done close to the deadline. So that may be, and that's the end of the quote. So maybe that's not what people want to hear, because that probably just leads to anxiety and will they or won't they. But I do think that Chris Getz will get what he needs to get done. I don't think that you're going to see Tommy Pham be here past the deadline, and if he is, he'll be immediately placed on waivers. I think the same thing for Paul DeJong. I think the same thing for Chris Flexen. If they're not going to be adding to this team in 2025, I don't think they're going to be on the roster in August of 2025. Maybe some of these pitchers, maybe your Chad Kuhls, right, to really eat up some of these innings. But I think most of the young guys, like your Kai Bushes, et cetera, will be up and pitching for the White Sox at a major league level, around then. So I think that if Crochet will get dealt, he will get that done. And if not, he will probably happily take him into the offseason.
Would that be seen as a failure because these guys were signed to be flipped, like the Tommy Pham and the DeYoungs of the world? Would that be seen as a failure if you had these guys on your team the whole year for them to be flipped? And Tommy Pham's actually having a decent go at it right now, and you don't get anything for him, and then you just DFA him in August, kind of listless, and it's not you just spent 4 months on just having Tommy Pham on the team, and he didn't really do anything for you.
But what was the alternative? You know what I mean?
Playing young players, playing Oscar Colas for these 4 months.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess.
Deloach.
Yeah, I guess, and you can see if they're anything, right?
Dominic
sure.
Fletcher.
These are reasonable suggestions. I don't know if anybody's exactly penciling any of them in to their lineup of the future, but they're, sure. I guess you can say Phillips. That. I guess the point that I'm trying to make, I'm trying to make is that that these were very low risk plays, right? Yes, Herb, you're absolutely right, and we talked about it when that move was made, right? We couldn't understand why they weren't going to let Fletcher at the time, and then eventually Colas and others have some playing time, absolutely. But if you get anything, it's kind of worth it, right? Because the risk was so low. Tommy Pham's here on a minor league contract. Mm-hmm. Paul DeJong's here on a very, very inexpensive contract. Chris Flexen's here on a very, very inexpensive contract.
What did DeJong sign for?
Less than $2 million.
Yeah.
If my math is correct, I believe Chris Flexen and Paul DeJong combined are making less than Mike Clevenger.
Damn. Yeah, $1.75 million. I mean, that's the biggest dunce of them all. I mean, just at least dud of them all is Clevenger. I mean, they will not get anything for him.
Zero. No, he might not even pitch before the deadline. Yeah, right.
Might not even pitch for the rest of the year. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest failure right there is the Clevenger signing. But again, I mean, it just takes one person to take Tommy Pham. It just takes the Pittsburgh Pirates to take Chris Flexen. It just takes one.
The dreamy Pittsburgh Pirates
take Michael Kopech. I think Kopech will likely be a deadline day deal. I think Flexen will be one of the first to go, because I think if the White Sox, because what Heyman said is the White Sox are, quote, unhappy what they're getting with Fetty. Does that mean the moment that they're happy they're going to take something? Like I do think that could be a market that moves quickly. If a team doesn't mess around, they might get the right offer.
Again, I think I've been saying this for a while now. It would seem to me that those would be the easy trades to make. That it would be easy to say, you want Paul DeJong? Give me something, that's not terribly high-level prospect, and it doesn't affect the rest of anybody's movements, right? I mean, when it comes to Crochet or Robert, those are the big things that you have to have all the pieces in place to make work. If you're just throwing a low A guy at the White Sox for Chris Flexen, why can't you just do that today? Yeah. You know, I mean, I go back to the offseason when Shohei Ohtani was holding up everything, but why? Weren't there teams that had no need to sign Shohei Ohtani or nothing was going to affect him at all? Why would ongoing conversations for a Garrett Crochet trade or something not even involving the White Sox, let's throw a name out there like Tarek Skubal or something like that. Why would some team trying to trade for Skubal impact the White Sox being able to trade Tommy Pham? You know what I mean? Like, that's why is there a dam that needs to break? Can't things be all done simultaneously? I guess that's me and my ignorance not knowing how this works behind the scenes and between the GMs themselves. But I would think that those easy moves to make could come whenever.
It's weird, too, because...
But they haven't.
And it feels like the trades that we have seen, at least the trades that players have been involved in, there was the Hunter Harvey deal where he goes to Kansas City, and the Nationals end up giving like a fairly high competitive balance pick. I think it was, near the top 40 pick in the 2024 draft, along with a prospect. I mean, you also see the Robbie Grossman trade, and, our guy Bubba is down in Birmingham, and he looks pretty good. I think he's got an ERA under 1. So it still does seem like if you are going to be giving up a prospect, you have to give up someone that will hurt. And I know you guys always brought up the idea of, if you're going to make a trade, it has to hurt. But I think that's the biggest thing with GMs is that they're just trying to lessen that blow as much as possible. And if they can get away with, bank robbery, they're going to do their best to do that. So,
or the reverse. Gladly give cash considerations instead of instead of a prospect.
A Jake Cousins deal. And thank you to Maddie Rice for the cash considerations, the super chat for $5. Andrew Vaughn needs to go. That's all later, dudes. I don't think that it's off the table that Vaughn could get traded. I think it'd be surprising. I think if we put together a board of, most likely to get traded, I think Vaughn's probably, 7, 8, 9 territory. So it might be surprising, not shocking.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be shocking, but you'll be trading him at his lowest value. So that would be shocking to me.
Not lowest. They could have traded him in April.
That is correct, yeah. But, he is really, he's kind of revitalized a little bit after a pretty good June. His July has been lackluster. And so what you're going to be getting back won't be anything that you would be like, oh, great, we got this back for Andrew Vaughn. I would just keep him now and just go into his 5th year and say, we don't have really a replacement for Andrew Vaughn, but we still kind of believe in what he does, because that June gave you glimpses of, okay, this guy is still in there somewhere, but I think most of these players are getting hurt by the rest of the team. The whole atmosphere is of a 27-77 team. You're going to have bad players throughout, especially the offense. And so I don't think this is Andrew Vaughn. So you're getting the worst of him. And if you trade him, you'll be trading him at this level, and people will be acquiring him at this lowest point, and there's nowhere else to go but up for Andrew Vaughn on somebody else's team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there would probably be some interest because he has shown a few glimpses this year. He's put together a nice month where he's shown what he can do with the bat. At least on a little bit of a consistent basis. And then obviously the potential is still there of a guy who was once the number 3 pick in the draft, right? I mean, folks like to joke when players who were high draft picks get picked up kind of well after their shine has been kind of lost.
You're Nick Senzel.
Nick Senzel, if you will, right? But teams always seem to do that.
Yes.
And so because there was that talent there at some point. And so again, yeah, Vaughn could go somewhere, but what are they getting back from him? Nothing of interest, nothing of high interest, I would imagine. He's somebody that probably ends up on another team eventually, but I don't know about right now, just because you're right, Herb, the value balance there, the White Sox would be getting, cents on their many dollar investment of what was the number 3 pick in the draft.
And the Jerickson Profar All-Star thing even furthers that even more, where people are like, oh yeah, it worked. That former first overall prospect finally came when he was 31. And that's what the White Sox are trying to do with Nick Senzel. And I'm sure somebody will pick Andrew Vaughn up after his White Sox career, and they'll be like, yes, he's in there. The third pick overall is in there.
You guys called it Miss Cleo. I guess I would call it maybe more Raven. I guess I had a vision. I saw into the future, and to think of
like the bird.
No. So
That's So Raven.
There's a Disney Channel show, That's So Raven, starring Raven Simone. She
from
was
the
in
Cosby Show.
Yeah. And the theme song was like, "That's so Raven, it's the future I can see." Yeah,
Sarah's even chiming in.
And then she'd look in the camera and be like, and then like it would zoom into her, and then you'd see the future.
Wait a second. So I was joking. I obviously know that there was a show, That's So Raven. What I didn't know, it was about someone who could see the future.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So,
Raven.
Oh man,
do you know who just got not today's game, but in yesterday's game? Do you know who struck out Aaron Judge to end the Mets-Yankees game? Strike 3, caught looking.
Jake Diekman.
Yeah. White Sox legend Jake Diekman. They also have Adam Ottavino's bones in their bullpen. Former first rounder, I think Michael Kopech is going to be a New York Met. I think you got Chris Flexen on the Pirates or Twins, and I think Michael Kopech's going to be a Met. Because Edwin Diaz has been a little bit shaky, and I don't know if he's a closer, but David Stearns is a little crazy. He could be a starter. I really do think that he's going to be used in a lot of different roles. So just to bring up, the idea of kicking the tires of a former first rounder, a first round talent, I think Michael Kopech still fits into that. Maybe a little bit more into that category than Andrew Vaughn too. I think there's more appeal to Kopech just because it does seem like if all of the right ingredients were added, it's just going to explode.
That's Michael Kopech's career. Like he's always been potential, and everybody who gets him will always see his potential. And it just hasn't worked out for the White Sox, and I'm sure he'll have a successful career with some other team when he goes there. They'll unlock the Michael Kopech that we should have had, but every team is seeing that potential that we have always seen, and what we've seen this year when he got the immaculate inning.
I mean, and when it comes to this week and the trade deadline, just the position stands out. I mean, what team doesn't want pitching? What team doesn't want relief pitching? What team doesn't want relief pitching with that kind of arm attached to it? I think that there would definitely be interest. But again, just like you were saying with Andrew Vaughn, are they getting back what they thought that they would have in Michael Kopech one day? I doubt it. Granted, at this where they are in their respective careers at the moment, maybe I would guess you would probably get a little bit more for Kopech than you would for Vaughn this week.
Who has more control?
Vaughn.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kopech's only got one more after this year, right?
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
Vaughn's at year 3. So, yeah, I will. You said Kopech would get more?
I would think that Kopech has shown a lot more than Andrew Vaughn this year. There should be way more interest in Kopech than there would be in Andrew Vaughn.
Having 3 RBers, I think that Vaughn would have more, especially being a position player and an everyday player. So, I mean, I don't know. That's an interesting question just because, I mean, Kopech, again, who doesn't want a guy who throws 103? Seems pretty cool. I mean, it looks great when Ben Joyce does it for the Angels. Looks great when Mason Miller does it for the A's. But you bring up a Michael Kopech highlight of him throwing 103, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's unfair. It's unfair to Michael Kopech, and he's gonna go to some other team like the New York Mets, like I had my Raven vision, and he's gonna probably be, dethroning Edwin Diaz. And what's the
Timmy
Texas
Trumpet?
Yeah, what's the Texas version of Timmy Trumpet?
I don't know.
Brooks and Dunn.
Are they even from Texas? George Strait is from Texas. There you go.
That was in studio.
Yeah,
my mom just saw George Strait at Soldier Field.
I don't even know what song he sings.
All My Exes Live in Texas is George Strait, isn't it?
Okay.
I think so.
Perfect. All right. So I guess they would all chant
just have
My Exes Live in Texas.
Instead of having Timmy Trumpet, just have a banjo dude out there.
Amarillo by Morning.
Or the mandolin.
That's more of a bluegrass.
Yeah,
bluegrassy
have a guy on a rolling steel guitar, steel lap guitar.
I love the stand-up steel guitar. That's great.
I told you to check out MJ Lenderman. And
I listened.
You did?
I listened to that. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't.
Listen to that album. It was good.
Okay, cool.
Much better than that crap you suggested earlier.
What did I suggest earlier?
Pedro Grifol's favorite group, Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, what's wrong with Tusk?
Did
you not read it? We have the
one of the worst.
The book over there.
Oh.
You learn all about it. All right. Anyways, I want to share these final stats with you. There have been 4 teams in Major League Baseball history since 1962 in the first 104 games of a single season that were 28-76 or worse. So the 1979 Oakland A's were 28-76 in their first 104 games. The Detroit Tigers of 2003 were 28-76 in their first 104 games. The Oakland A's of 2023 were 28-76 in their first 104 games. And the 1962 Mets were 26-78 in their first 104 games. Your Chicago White Sox just fitting right under the 1962 Mets and right above last year's Oakland A's, the 2003 Detroit Tigers, and 1979 Oakland A's at 27-77. So they're not the worst team in the first 104 games since 1962. They're just the second worst team since 1962 in the first 104 games. So, I'll take silver. Olympics are coming up. I'll take silver.
They're here. The Olympics are here.
We didn't lose the gold. We won the silver. So there you go. And Minnie Dar saying their preseason prediction of 38-24 is still in play. And man, that would be great. Chad saying, check out the band's Evangeline. I watched some Last Waltz clips on the train ride in. So maybe I'll finish that on the train ride out. Anyways, that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox postgame show. We will talk to you tomorrow. There's a White Sox game at 1:35. Right? It's a weird Texas
start. That is
start.
A weird Texas start time.
Game starting at 1:35. We will watch the game, so you don't have to. So we will check in at around like 4:30. So that's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at ActorWall23. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show. Thank you for watching the show. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.